All right, moving on to the final segment of today's show. We got proof. Well, proof. We got somebody claims, at least claims that. Address myself here. That we are NATO. We are supplying them with weapons. We are supplying weapons, but we know we're supplying weapons. Our government hasn't been denying that, which I think is fucking stupid. If you're doing that type of shit, instead of using it to generate political feels, you should probably keep that shit to yourself. You know, OPSEC, so your enemies don't understand what's going. You know, that's the soldier in me. This is the soldier in me. Government. When you got a shitty commander in chief, you got a shitty commander in chief. I mean, it is what it is. Biden is arguably one of the worst presidents, if not the worst president we've ever had in the history of our country. And we've had some shitty presidents. So, I don't know. It is what it is. But let's get into this article. It's from Al Jazeera. U.S. and NATO allies pledge more arms to Ukraine. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken says the U.S. will send new weapons systems to Ukraine as Russia continues to attack. And I'm using all kinds of sources, like Science Magazine, Space Magazine, Al Jazeera, CNN, BBC, Tim Cass, Daily Wire, because I'm trying to show both framings and both give you guys a well-rounded view of what's going on, because that's how winning is done. You read all sides of a subject, you find the commonalities, and you walk your own fucking path. That's just, simple deduction or reasoning. Deductive reasoning. It is what it is. Let's move in. Secretary, we already read that. So the United States will send new weapon systems to Ukraine. Washington's top diplomat has said after NATO foreign ministers agreed to accelerate arms deliver in response to Russian invasion. We have said we are going to send the weapons to Ukraine. And if they blame us for that, I told you it was only a matter of time before that happened. Urged by you that we would have to be completely out of this conflict if we were to not trigger World War III. Urged by Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmitry Kuleba to end bureaucracy driven by delays, U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken said that the U.S. and 30 other countries were sending weapons to Ukraine and that the process would intensify. We're not going to let anything stand in the way of getting Ukrainians what they need and what we believe to be effective, Blinken said on Thursday. Now, I'm not saying sending them weapons is bad. If we're selling them weapons, I don't know if they are free to do trade with whoever they want. I believe in free trade, and I believe in so that's where I stand on the subject. I don't like it. I don't like participating in it. I knew it could lead to what we were talking about in the last segment of this podcast. But you gotta when you have principles, you have principles. You gotta walk your principles, even when they're sometimes inconvenient. That's how you know you really espouse your principles. He spoke of new systems that have so far not been provided by NATO allies, but declined to go into details. NATO diplomats said that meant in part helping Ukrainians transition from its Soviet-era arsenal to more modern weapons. Blinken said the U.S. had already agreed to send Kiev anti-aircraft systems, shoulder-held anti-tank weapons, and armored vehicles. Kiev renewed calls for energy embargo, asking for planes, land-based airship missiles, armored vehicles, and air defense systems. Kuleba made his plea to the special sessions at NATO headquarters. I don't like an air fleet. That's a tall order. They've been trying to get us to do a no-fly zone since the beginning of this, and I mean, if we sell them or trade them or get equal value and we give them an air fleet, I mean, like I said, there's nothing that in my principles prevents us from doing that. Except maybe not participating in a war. This is a tough one, you know what I'm saying? Because I don't want to be war, but I don't think Ukrainians should get if Ukrainians want left, right, sideways, up, down, left, right, sideways, good, bad, or indifferent, communist or otherwise. If Ukrainians want to be their own independent people, my core values tells me they have that right. So it's a tough situation. He addressed his counterparts from NATO's 30 members plus the European Union, Finland, Sweden, Japan, New Zealand, and Australia, urging Germany in particular to speed up delivery, saying procedures were taking too long in Berlin. I think the deal that Ukrainians is offering is fair. You give us weapons, we sacrifice our lives, and the war is contained in Ukraine, Kuleba said. After 6 weeks of war, the Moscow describes as a special military operation, Ukraine said Russia continued to sell eastern cities following the forces' withdrawal from around Kiev. I mean, if the Ukrainians said they're getting these weapons for free by saying that we will be the only lives lost here, and we will defend our own country. Uh, like I said again, there's nothing in my value system that prevents that. But I really don't want war with Russia. But that might be an inevitability at this point. We might be headed down that road if the Russian state TV is starting to talk about it. So it is what it is. Kabul also reiterated a demand that the EU stop buying Russian oil and gas as the bloc promised a fifth round of sanctions against Moscow by Friday. We will continue to insist on a full oil and gas embargo, Kabul said. I mean, you know, the EU cannot give you a full embargo on gas and oil unless they have an alternative source for gas and oil, because our very system depends on it. I'm sorry, Ukraine, but that's just fucking reality. Maybe America can start doing more leases and stuff, and drilling oil and stuff and having oil, and maybe we'll get into that in the next show, and we'll go over that. But and we can start providing it for ourselves. But we should have already been doing that. It might be too late to get that rolling in time, but we'll see how things play out. Outraged about the killings of civilians in the Ukraine town of Bucha, where Russians were denied the wrongdoings, said evidence was fabricated, appears to have galvanized Western support. I mean, we're all about the feels. It would, but like I didn't see any pictures that you said I was a picture thing, and nobody has sent me any pictures. So it's like, did the bodies really exist? You said they were military-aged civilian males, but you're calling them non-combatants. But if they were military-aged males, were they really non-combatant? War is a fucked up, chaotic thing, and it should never happen, but it does happen. And I'm going to keep pressing that fact. The first casualty war is always the truth. So I'll continue to try and give the least biased perspective you can on this, but let's be fair, we all have bias, which is why I include what I believe, and I try and show different sources and stuff to counteract that, because I try to fight that the best as possible, because that's how winning is done. But this is it. World War III may have already begun, and we just don't know it yet. I'm just fucking saying. Thank you for checking out this clip of my Thought of the Day podcast. You can catch this podcast every Tuesday through Friday at that'sonpoint.info by 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, because that's how winning is done. New clips go out daily, and we can't do this without you, so we appreciate your support. With that being said, consider joining for $5 a month, and you get early access to the uncensored version of this, early access to our weekly That's On Point podcast, and access to exclusive content only for members. All the money that we receive is going to go funnel back into this to hire more journalists and do more things for you guys, because that's how winning is done. It really is. We got a merch store and stuff. You can help there, and if you can't help via money, you can always just leave a comment, and share this out there, because that helps us more than you can immensely know. That's the best way to help. Just leave a comment, and share. And if you're listening to us, leave a review. Leave a good review. Help us boost us in the podcast ratings and get us up there, because that's how winning is done. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.